Yes, now ladies and gentlemen, welcome your lovely faces back to the Thomas Fans YouTube channel. Bet you didn't think you'd see me in an outside setting again. But it's one of those days where I've got a lot on and I've not really got a moment to stop and record, so I'm going to do it on the way. It is dark, but it's winter, so but it's not really winter, it's November. November's considered autumn, isn't it? But it gets dark at like 4 o'clock now, so cut it some slack. Anyways, let's talk about the exceptional episode of Monday Night Raw that we just had. I'm talking exceptional, might be the best episode of Monday Night Raw this year. And we had the Raw debut on Netflix, and I had a good couple episodes a few weeks ago. God, you can literally not even see me. It's because this lamppost isn't working. So we kicked off the show. Obviously we know who was on the show tonight, but Triple H came out. He started talking about opinions, started talking about people have to think differently about things, and I thought for some reason he was going to bring up something to do with AEW or something to do with some controversy. No. It was all just to land on the point that we can all agree on one thing, and that is that John Cena has the greatest of all time. Out came John Cena, cutting his great speech, talking about the last time is now tournament, talking about Saturday Night's Main Event. And then he said, on the topic of Saturday Night's Main Event, on the topic of him retiring, he said, oh God, I'm getting hot. He always said he wanted to leave the place better than he found it. He always said he wanted to provide for the future. He wanted to put people over, essentially, right? And his idea of doing that on his way out is making that Saturday Night's Main Event, the one that's centered around his retirement, about making exhibition fights between main roster talent and NXT talent to bring them up. Not the biggest surprise I was expecting. I was waiting for something huge to come out of his mouth, but fair enough. It is what it is. Pretty interesting. I like the idea. The whole NXT versus WWE show. This is what Survivor Series should be. Survivor Series should go back to Raw versus SmackDown, or Raw versus SmackDown versus NXT, because War Games is boring, but I'll get into that later in the episode. Regardless, John Cena said that's what that's going to be about. And as he was saying his thank yous to Boston and whatever, out came dirty Dominic Mysterio. Now, first of all, we wanted this. Forget the Intercontinental Championship. We wanted Cena versus Dominic. We weren't sure if we were going to get it. This was at least an indication that we were going to get it at some point, right? And given that Dominic has the Intercontinental Championship, this sparked interest because we want to see Cena challenge for the Intercontinental Championship, even if he doesn't win it. It's the one title he hasn't won. Makes sense. Off the heat he had last week with Rey Mysterio, this is perfect for Dom. Interrupted Cena, got in Triple H's face, saying what you're going to do about how Rey Mysterio treated me last week. And then John Cena, I thought John Cena was about to cook him on the mic. I was ready for it, but it wasn't what happened. Instead, well, he sort of did. I mean, Dominic Mysterio said he could beat any version of John Cena. Dominic Mysterio said he's not even at his peak, and he's already better than John Cena ever was in his prime, which is mental because John Cena's on his way out the door and he's still better than Dominic Mysterio. No shade to Dominic, just that's how great John Cena is, right? So that's when, Cena said, he got a bit riled up. He said, nah, not in Boston. You may think that, but not right now. There's a version of me right now. He says this is wrong place, wrong time, wrong guy. Yeah, not me, John Cena. Not in Boston. It's not happening like that, is what he said. So what happened off the back of that was Triple H got in the face of Dominic Mysterio, said, I can agree with Boston, because Boston was saying you fucked up, which was true. And what he said was, he basically said, Dominic Mysterio, you can defend that Intercontinental Championship right here, right now against John Cena. And that was the match we got. And part of me was expecting Dominic to win, because then that's heat for Dominic. And they could run around having Dominic say, I beat John Cena, I am literally the greatest of all time. But no, when it all seemed like it was over, Dominic hit Cena with the 619, the frog splash. Cena just rolled right back up, hit him with an A and pinned him. Cena won the IC title, and the only reason I'm not getting more hype about this is because I'm in public right now. But finally, not only did we get the Dominic match, not only did we get a match on Raw, not only did we get Cena win the title, we got him winning the one title he's never won. The one other title, apart from the WWE title that we wanted to see him win this year. He's not breaking a record. I mean, that's not breaking a record for him becoming an Intercontinental Champion, but he's making moves. This is easily John Cena's best career year of all time, really, and it made me happy that they do that. It's sad for Dom, I know, but Dom can get that back. Cena's not going to hold it long. And my theory is, when is he actually going to lose that, right? I think because he's on Raw next week, he might lose it a week later in a rematch or to someone else. Or, depending on who the final opponent will be, he could lose it on his last match. Personally, what I think he should do is I think he should hold it till he retires. I think he should win his last match, defending that title. Because when he won that WWE title, he said he wanted to leave with the championship, not lose it, and then call himself the last real champion, because no one will be a real champion because they haven't beat the champion. Well, if he does that with the IC title, the last real champion gimmick still stands, and it would make sense. But I get it, passing the torch, and there's plenty of other opportunities, and Cena will absolutely want to lose on his last match. Let's talk about his last match, because today we had some qualifying matches, right? We had Damian Priest, Rusev, and I said it makes more sense for Rusev to win. Has history with Cena. He's on a bit of a high right now. But I wouldn't mind if Damian Priest won, because it's a match we haven't seen. I mean, we're seeing glimpses of it in the chamber, but I'd love to see it. Rusev ended up getting the win after going to the eye of Damian Priest and hitting him with that matchka kick. Not mad about it. And then Sheamus beat Nakamura. I mean, there was no way Nakamura was winning that match. Nakamura has some history with Cena. You know, had a match with him when he was new on the roster. Eliminated him from Rumbles and all that, you know. But Sheamus had the history. Sheamus debuted taking the title from Cena on December 13th, 2009, which, by the way, his last match was on December 13th, 2025. Coincidental? I think not. Maybe it is. Maybe that is, like, way too clever from their end, but I still like it, you know what I mean? So we know Rusev and Sheamus have advanced. We know on SmackDown we have Jey Uso versus The Miz. What I think should happen is The Miz wins. Cool, if you don't want Jey Uso to look bad from losing to The Miz, pull some shenanigans. But The Miz needs to win that match. Then we've got LA Knight versus whoever the mystery will be. That mystery man's probably going to win, right? And Adam Pearce did announce the next slot, which will happen next week on Monday Night Raw. Now, we said we were going to get NXT talent. We have NXT talent. Javon Evans will take on the return of Gunther. It's a shame for Javon, because Gunther's absolutely winning this match. They're not having Gunther lose to Javon. But also, Gunther was another rumoured man, like Sheamus, to face John Cena in his final match. So, going off what we've got, right? I mean, we don't know who the mystery opponent is, right? But, and oh yeah, and the other one is Solo Squad versus another mystery opponent. Not knowing who the mystery opponent is, off the names we already have, I've got Sheamus and Gunther in my head, are the two that make sense. So far, they make the sense as the final for me, right? And Sheamus would make a lot of sense in Cena's final match. And if Cena lost, again, that's the one title Sheamus hasn't won either, so he'd be passing the torch. He'd be doing the same favour for Sheamus, and that would make sense. You know, Sheamus was Edge's last match in WWE. But then again, Gunther is a great opponent for Cena, a great one to beat him on the way out, perfect heel to do the job. And we all know his history with the Intercontinental Championship. The longest reigning Intercontinental Champion of all time. Fantastic, so that would be great. There's two surprises. Don't know who they're going to be. My suggestions, I mean, there's the obvious prediction that everyone says. You know, there's Edge, which is probably unlikely. There's Chris Jericho, which is likely. You know, it's plausible. I don't think he's in AEW anymore. I think Brock Lesnar's going to be one of them. I hope he doesn't win the tournament though, because we've already seen that match. I could live without seeing that match. And plus the whole story that they're trying to build, saying, you know, Cena never beat Brock Lesnar and whatnot. I know he's not beat him a lot in recent years, but Cena has beat Brock Lesnar before. We forget when Brock Lesnar returned to WWE in 2012 and lost to Cena in his first match back, which was completely pointless and an insult to Brock. Yes, so I hate that story. I don't think it's true. I don't want to see that match happen. So that's one plausible option. Roman Reigns is another one, I think, because big star, he's got history with Cena. That would make sense, and they wouldn't want to just announce that. They'd want to surprise people with that, so I wouldn't be mad at that either. And another one I just thought of today could be Matt Cardona. I mean, he's just done some work in WWE with TNA. He's got history with Cena. They had the whole hi Matt Cardona, hi John Cena thing. They've got history from 2012 when, you know, he was... was it Eva? It was Eve? Eve. It was Eve, wasn't it? He's kissing Eve, and then there was the Kane feud and whatever. So yeah, that's a bit of history. Matt Cardona could be one. But yeah, from the options I've got so far, I've got Sheamus and Gunther in the final. I couldn't tell you who would win between them two. I feel like WWE would go with Gunther, but if it was me, I'd go with Sheamus. You know, given that Gunther's been in the world title picture it would be weird to just move him down to the Intercontinental Championship as immediately as he's come back. You know, he's probably got some things to handle, but I don't know. But it's looking interesting. It's looking good. And holy hell, John Cena's won the Intercontinental Championship. I'm just so happy about that. And speaking of Intercontinental Championships, let's talk women's one, right? We've got Maxine, who said she was going away to train, but she's back already. Saying Adam Pearce, you know, she can train all she wants, she's never going to be ready. She's got to make the choice to be ready. So that's what she's doing. And she's going to challenge Becky Lynch next week in New York, Madison Square Garden, for the Intercontinental Championship. And as Adam Pearce walked away, Becky punched her in the face and said, "You'll never be on my level." And just before Maxine had that word with Adam Pearce, we had something from AJ and Dragon Lee. They were both trying to decide on a word, on a word to describe the tag team or a tag team name. They didn't come up. Well, Dragon Lee came up with one. AJ thought it was a bit long. No news about any matches or any feuds, so God knows where they're going with that. What else is there to talk about? As promised, we got the world title match between Stephanie Vaquer and Raquel Rodriguez. I was a bit baffled why this wasn't in the main event, but when we got to the main event, it made sense why. Obviously, Stephanie Vaquer was going to retain it. I never thought this match made sense in the first place. I know they just beat them in tag team match last week, but Roxanne Perez is the one who's pinned Nikki Bella clean twice now. Roxanne Perez, yes, she's won matches, but she's not pinned Nikki Bella clean. That's what Roxanne has done. Roxanne's been the one who's succeeding. She was the original one to call Stephanie Vaquer out. And yes, they had a match, but they never had a match for the title, I don't think. So I felt like that match should have been Roxanne Perez's, but it is what it is. And after the match, don't want to say I told you so, don't want to say I called it, but I did call it. I don't know if I said it in my episode last week, but I've been saying it. Nikki Bella was going to feud with Stephanie Vaquer for that title. They weren't feuding with the Judgment Day. It was a set-up to get Nikki Bella to pretend to be friends with Stephanie Vaquer so she could turn on her, and that's exactly what happened. After the win, Nikki clocked her with the title, and that's a match we're going to get, and I'm fine with it because Nikki, she's probably not going to be back for long. She's challenged Becky for the Intercontinental Championship. She's going to challenge Stephanie for the world title, get some matches in for her before she leaves, and that's going to be a good win on the resume of Stephanie Vaquer. It's going to put some star power behind her, which not that she needs, because obviously I was a little nervous with her coming up from NXT that people wouldn't like her, but they clearly do, and I'm happy about it. She deserves it. Yeah. And now let's get into some juicy things. The only other things left to talk about, we had CM Punk come out. He obviously call out Logan Paul after last week. Logan Paul came out, said he's not fighting and all this, and he says he actually saw a greater vision. I mean, if you think back to last week when he clocked CM Punk, he handed those brass knuckles to Paul Heyman. What happened when he said the vision? Out came Paul Heyman, out came Bronson Reed, out came Bron Breakker, and they walked down the ring together. And it looks like maybe it's a temporary alliance, or maybe Logan Paul is a new member of the Vision. Not a leader, but maybe, just maybe, because of his youth, I know he's 30, but for a wrestler that's young. Maybe for his youth, for his star power, and for how good he actually is for a YouTuber. Maybe Paul Heyman, like Bronson Reed and like Bron Breakker, sees some world title potential in him and thinks he's a good addition to the Vision. And that would make sense. And honestly, I'd prefer Logan Paul to be a part of a faction than be a single superstar winning matches. Because if he uses a faction to cheat and win matches, I feel like it's more legitimate to me. I feel like it wouldn't make sense. But obviously it does. But I hate the fact that he's doing it by himself. So, him part of the Vision, I'm absolutely here for it. Let's do it. It could just be temporary for War Games, but who knows. But when they did that, up came Jay. Jay came to defend CM Punk, you know. Paul Heyman, give it all, you don't have any friends because you're a cunt, basically. And Jay came and defended him. And then out came Cody Rhodes' music. We knew Cody Rhodes was there, though, because he was along everyone celebrating Cena's win in the back. So Cody Rhodes was there. And again, I just, you know, when they were backstage talking to Adam Pearce, brought out William Regal, they said War Games. First of all, there's only 3 people, so they're each going to have to at least get 1 person or 2 people. I feel like they're going with 4 this year because of the main event. Last year it was 5, and I think the year before that was 5 also. It did begin as 4 in NXT. I don't know if they did a 4 on the main roster, but I'm guessing it's 4 because the women have got 4. They've only got 3. There's no way they're going up to 5, right? Here's my issue. I don't like War Games. I like the match. The match is a fantastic match. It desensitizes it a bit when we have it every year. But also what makes the match worse is, match is a great match. The match is never not going to be great. The problem is that the story, a lot of times it's forced. A lot of the time it looks like people have been chucked together to fill up numbers in a match, which I think is a good reason why we should only do 4 this year. But also it is just like so forced, like Cody Rhodes has not feuded with the Vision. Obviously he did for Crown Jewel, probably a better option than most people, but it didn't make sense to me, right? And how's Cody Rhodes coming out there before Jimmy, before LA Knight? I know LA Knight isn't friends with Jay and CM Punk, but he wants the Vision, does he not? It just feels like they're just forcing it together. So if you ask me, some people like War Games, right? Clearly the company does. And the War Games match is great, and no one's ever going to not like the War Games match. Some people want Raw vs SmackDown back and the traditional Survivor Series match. My answer to that is, why don't we merge the two? If we're going to have Raw vs SmackDown, even Raw vs SmackDown versus NXT, we're going to have all the champions versus champions. Why not, instead of doing the 5v5 traditional Survivor Series, why don't we do the 5v5 or a 4v4 inside War Games? Do it inside War Games, and then maybe you can do elimination, because I've always thought War Games would make more sense if there was elimination, because you have different people coming in at different times, but it's all just one pinfall. I think merge the two, a Raw versus SmackDown War Games, because there's no way you can naturally have a feud between 10 people where there's 5 on each side or 4 on each side. You're going to have to chuck people together, and that's what happens for Raw versus SmackDown, because it's drafting for a roster. That makes sense. Comment if you're with me, but I feel like that makes sense. So I feel like Raw vs SmackDown should be in War Games. I think they should merge the two, or even some years do War Games, some years do traditional Survivor Series 5v5, because that would make sense. It doesn't even like the same thing happened with the 5v5s. Survivor Series, they used to force feuds together to make a 5v5 until they had the genius idea, Raw vs SmackDown. It just works. It works for a reason. That never got old for me. I never got bored of Raw vs SmackDown, I'll be real. It's because that seems like a theme a plausible theme that could happen every year. There's not a magical feud at the end of the year between 10 people that causes a match. However, there is a tradition to do Raw vs SmackDown. Just makes sense. Just saying. But does that or does that not make sense? Anyways, the main event, Charlotte Flair, Alexa Bliss. I knew the Kabuki Warriors were going to win this match. I don't know if I said it on video, but I've said it to people before. I knew the Kabuki Warriors were going to win this match, and they did. They became the new champions, and it was thanks to Nia Jax and Lash Legend, who we knew started feuding with them. And I thought maybe they could be the next tag team champions. They certainly are future tag team champions, but they and the Kabuki Warriors started beating the fuck out of Charlotte and Alexa at the end of that match. And that's when Io Sky came out. Obviously, we know has issues with Kabuki Warriors. And Rhea Ripley came out, as we know, has issues with the Kabuki Warriors. This match makes more sense than the men's match. I know Punk and Jay have been feuding with the Vision and all that, but this feels less put together because, Nia and Lash were going after the tag team champions. The tag team champions just lost to the Kabuki Warriors. And Io and Rhea have already been feuding with the Kabuki Warriors. When I think about it, maybe most of them seem alright. Last year's were a bit more chucked together. But I just, I've seen this coming. Rhea Ripley called Raw Games. That's War Games we're getting. I don't think they need that anymore. And they can keep a 4v4. The Vision and Team Punk, though, either need to get one more member or a 5th member. But I can't see Jay being in that match and not Jimmy. But Jimmy's not going to be their magical 4th member. I feel like they're going to get a Roman Reigns or someone in. I know who the Vision's getting. The Vision's getting Brock Lesnar. Simple as that. So maybe Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns. If not Roman Reigns, I don't know who. But an exceptional episode of Monday Night Raw. Great title matches. All great matches. All like high stakes. Great segments. It was just great. And I love it. The excitement is through the roof. Everything that is happening in WWE I care about. Every feud, everything. Every match. And WWE has not done that in a long time. I said WWE was in a great couple of years, and everyone just thought it was just 2024, it was just WrestleMania 40 season. No, it's been good since Triple H got in charge. A couple of people were riding the highs of WrestleMania 40, and then when not every show was like WrestleMania 40, people thought, WWE's on a decline. It's not. It's been good. WrestleMania 40 was just, it wasn't even a peak, because it's not peaked. It will never peak. WWE is just a constant. Yeah? It was just, that was a one magical night. Because that was like, That was the moment we've all been waiting for. That was the culmination. That was the day of, we made it, we are the shit, this is what everyone wanted. And do you know what? I could still throw critiques at WrestleMania 40. It was fantastic. It was 10 out of 10, best thing ever seen in WWE, right? I think that's undebatable at this point. But I could still throw critiques. I could still say things they could have done better. Even in that main event match. Even in those last 5 minutes of that match, there's still things they could have done better. For example, when the Shield music played, if Dean Ambrose had come back, obviously he couldn't because he was, in contract with AEW. But that's still something that could have been done better. Do you know what I mean? Undertaker didn't make sense, really. But it was last minute, so who cares? Do you know what I mean? But, do you know what I mean? It's just great. I'm just really happy with what we've got on Monday Night Raw and what we've got in WWE currently. I can't wait for NXT tomorrow. Never said that in my life. And I can't wait for SmackDown on Friday to continue the Last 10 Is Now tournament. I want to know who the surprises are. I get giddy. And I make sure every morning to not go on social media before I watch things. Because spoilers, I really hate them. But anyways, thank you so much for watching. Please like, subscribe, let me know what you thought about it in the comments below. I hope you can hear me on this video because I've been walking through public spaces and main roads. And I shall see you in the next one. Goodbye.